On Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, you were probably in this church or you were in church somewhere celebrating that sacred moment, that great feast of the church. Today, we come again, continuing through the journey, to this religious practice that echoes the life of Mary and Joseph, bringing their young son to the temple to celebrate what was their most sacred feast, the Feast of Passover, something they celebrated every year. I was walking early this morning and somebody rolled down his window and said, "Is that Father Al?" I said, "Yeah." And then he identified himself. He said, "We always see you once a year." I said, "Well, we have Mass this morning at 10, since they missed it yesterday, once a year." But I have a feeling Mary and Joseph didn't just go to the temple annually, once a year for Passover. And if they did, the reality is it's not just in the temple that things are sacred, but maybe more importantly, in the home environment. That's where the young boy back home in Nazareth advanced in wisdom, age, and favor before God. It wasn't in the temple, it was home. Parents do bring their children to church. Bring your children here to be baptized. You bring them here to receive First Communion. You bring your children, hopefully, frequently, to celebrate what is our Passover, the Eucharist, Sunday by Sunday. But still, it's back home where the real growth in wisdom, age, and favor takes place. We hear in the second reading today that your children are children of God, on loan to you. I think that's a great perspective for parents sometimes to have. These children are not just our children, but they belong to God. And someday, they will not be here in the nest, but they're still the children of God. We do for them what we can while they're young, and then they sprout their wings and go where they go. All of us are children of God, no matter what age we are. St. John said, "You are children of God now." What will later be, we don't know. But it's not just the adult-child relationship we celebrate on this Feast of the Holy Family. All of our relationships are important. The adult-to-adult relationships in the home, in every circle of friends, and in the family of the church. Here too, we try to celebrate what it is to be a holy family. In all of those relationships, though, there's going to be a mixture of relationships and a mixture of things that happen. Hopefully, in every family, there's a lot of love. But there is also, like in the family of Jesus with Mary and Joseph, times of tension, times of stress. This boy put his parents through 3 days of anxiety. Now that's not something that you want to have happen. No parent likes the feeling that we don't know where our child is. Whether the child is 12 years old, 2 years old, or 19 years old and hasn't come home yet, late at night. Parents have their anxieties about their children. Mary and Joseph experienced that with Jesus. We experience disappointments in family life, failings in family life, misunderstandings. We experience tragedies, and even the deaths that we have to endure. It's all part of family life. I realized some years ago when everybody was talking about dysfunctional families, that I thought I had a pretty perfect family, but the more I looked at it, I thought, well, it's a small d, it's not a capital D. I know some capital D dysfunctional families, but what family among us doesn't have some dysfunction, some struggles and tensions that exist? Jesus actually frightened his parents on that trip to Jerusalem. And Mary, a good mom, says, "Son, why did you do this to us?" In one sense, the answer is, what? I'm just here in the temple talking to the priest. What are you worried about? I can almost, then maybe it's Joseph, you get your butt home. You get home, young man. That's where you will grow in wisdom, age, and favor before God. Why did you do this to us? We ask that in all kinds of relationships, whether it's the immediate family, whether it's the family of the church. Why did that happen? Why did you say that to me? Why? Son, why did you do this to us? Strong words from a mother. I remember some years ago, my brother and I were doing some family healing between the two of us. I don't think he'll be watching the live streaming. I don't think the story I'm going to tell would embarrass him. But as two young adults, we were doing a little healing of the tension that existed between the two of us growing up. And he told me about a time when my dad and mom and he, probably about 15 years old, came to Cincinnati because I was finishing a tech retreat when I was, I think, a senior in high school, at the high school seminary. And it was one of the times they let us go from the seminary for a weekend in order to do this tech retreat, where there were girls. It was cool. Growing up in this all-boy environment of a high school seminary, it's like, man, to get out for a weekend and be with other kids, including girls, was a great retreat. But part of the thing about the retreat was at the end of the retreat, unbeknownst to us, parents were invited to come and be part of the finale, where we were giving our testimonies and celebrating what had happened to us that weekend. My brother told me some years later, my mother cried most of the way home because I had pretty much ignored the fact that they had come to see me at the end of that retreat. I didn't even realize that I had hurt my mother by not acknowledging her enough. Of course, my brother relished what had just happened because he was living under the shadow of a favored son, and it gave him delight that the favored son had fallen from favor, at least for one occasion. This teenage boy had done something to his parents that disappointed them, that hurt them. But they didn't stop loving me, for sure. But all of us are capable of offending, disappointing, hurting one another. It's just all part of family life. Because we're imperfect, our families are imperfect, made up of imperfect people. So what else can we expect our families to be, and our church family to be? The family is still worth protecting. family is still worth giving priority to, whatever the shape of your family is. When I look out at the congregation, I see families of newly married. I see families of 50 years married, with children and grandchildren. I see families that are adoptive, families that are blended, families that are 2 dads and children, or 2 moms and children, single-parent families. It's all the shape of family life today. Spouses with no family, children. People whose family now is a circle of friends that have become like family to them. And there is holiness. There is holiness in all those families. Potential for great holiness in all those families. Places where all of us can continue to grow in wisdom, age, and favor. For sure we're going to grow in age. I mean, if anybody's in a family not growing in age, please let me know how you're doing that. But more importantly, we're growing in wisdom and favor, in grace. That's what our families are meant to be. And that's what the Holy Family kind of models for us today. This is actually the 100th anniversary of the Feast of the Holy Family. It was instituted in 1921 in Catholic Church. So happy 100th anniversary, everybody. It's the Feast of the Holy Family. We look at the dynamics that went on between Mary and Joseph and Jesus. We only have a hint of what went on with them. But we know that those relationships nurtured Jesus, and that our relationships with each other and in our individual families have great potential to nurture, to help all of us continue to grow, regardless of how much aging we've done. We still have a ways to go. We still need to grow in wisdom and grace and favor and forgiveness and understanding toward one another. All those virtues so important. So yesterday, of course, greeting you with a Merry Christmas. Today, it's greeting you with Happy Holy Family to all of your dysfunctional families. I could ask those families to stand that are perfect, but I really don't think anybody would stand up. We're all flawed, but loved. And where we are in whatever our family looks like, that's where we will grow to be a holy family, graced